Niti Murti Bheda Vibhagini Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat. So we were discussing the sutra number 17, and a very interesting sutra. Every sutra is loaded with a lot of meaning. What happens to the yogi who is established in that ultimate state, in that oceanic consciousness, when he is meditating, bijavadhanam, the next sutra, one is always linked to the other one and it's very powerful. Everything kind of, you know, flows from there. So he's saying, once you are asanastaha sukham hrade nimajjati. So he stays in that Radha. Radha is that ocean, which is the cause of this universe. What kind of ocean? The way waves appear out of the ocean, the whole sansara appears of that grand, unified, supreme consciousness of Paramashiva. That is what he's trying to explain. So asanastha sukham hrade nimajjati. Once he has explained that, there is no need for any meditation. He is there in that supreme consciousness. Varadaraja says, no, it doesn't happen immediately. It's a process of purification, as a result of which he attains that high state of being, high state of meditative equanimity he attains. Varadaraja explains that. The next one is about, see, the way, because in whole of the Saiva Darshana, Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati, that is what Advaita Vedanta will tell us. The one who knows Brahman is verily Brahman. Because why? Brahman is what? There is no duality there. There is no Brahman and there is a knower of Brahman. Aham Brahm. I know Brahman. Aham Narayanam Janami. Aham Ghatam Janami. Aham Patam Janami. I know what is a Ghata, what is a Pata. I also know what is Brahman. No, we cannot talk about Brahman like that. We are not different from Brahman. So this subject-object duality has to collapse for Brahma Jnana to happen. That is why Brahma itself is Jnana Swarupa. That means knower and known, again and again, I'm harping on that point. If this duality is there, then there is no Brahma Jnana. Then you are knowing it as an object of your process of knowing. It's like a subject matter. It's like physics, chemistry. Nay, that's not what is Brahma Jnana. Brahma Jnana is Jnana Swarupa, and there is no existence of the knower outside of that Jnana. There will be Vritti Jnana, Brahmakara Vritti, but ultimately this Vritti also gets dissolved, and there is Aham Brahmasmi.
Also, science, ICU, so Michael came in.
So ultimately, there would be only Brahman. There would be no Aham Atmanam Janami. You will not have Jnana like that. The Atma Tattva will verily be luminous and it will eliminate you, but you will not be any more different from it. Now, in that state, in Shaiva Darsana, as I told you, that it is Swatyantriyavada, it is not Advaitavada. So it is the supremacy of that Shiva Tattva. It can do anything. The sadhaka also, by reaching there, he is also able to manifest same thing that Lord Shiva does. Does he become Shiva? He doesn't have any individual identity. That we have discussed even in Shambhavapaya, where Lord Shiva is telling Parvati in one of the dialogues. He says, do you know whatever he thinks, whatever he fantasizes, whatever he wills happens? And Parvati has some doubts. How does that happen, my Lord? He says, because he doesn't exist anymore. This devotee of mine has become verily myself. Because he has no individual identity. Whatever other people refer to as his consciousness, there is nothing called his consciousness. It is that supreme consciousness of mind which pervades this whole universe. Others don't realize he has understood it. And because he is established in that supreme Shiva consciousness, whatever I will happen, because I am Swatantra, I don't have Apurna Manyata, I don't have Swatantrihani, I have these to delusional imperfections, as a result of which Shiva appears as Pashu. Pashupati appears as Pashu in us. Shiva becomes Jiva because of this apurna manyata. And that happens because of ajnana, Maya. That is how this delusion comes in. But a person who establishes himself in that supreme unified self awareness, he can manifest anything, he can create anything. That is what is explained here. Swamatra nirmanam apadayati. Swamatra nirmanam apadayati. Each of these is beautifully explained. Swasya chaitanyasya sambandhini matra. So he creates everything out of his own consciousness. That is how Lord Shiva creates anything. The Supreme Lord of the universe creates this universe. Does he make use of, like, for example, in the Bible it's written that God created man in his own image out of clay? So there was God and there was clay. But in our system of thinking, there is nothing which is not God. There is nothing which is not Supreme Divine. So there is the idea about Urna Navi. You have that spider, which you have the spider's net. How does it weave it? It weaves it out of his own saliva. This is an example. This is given that God is both Nimitta Karana as well as Upavana Karana. He is the efficient cause, he is also the material cause. The material cause in Advaita Vedanta is referred to as Maya because it is an aspect of the Brahman. Here, the Parasakti, that Vimarsha Shakti of Shiva, is part of him, but it's not delusional. It's not delusional. It is at a below level, Maya Sakti, that is delusional. The Chinmaya Sakti of Lord Shiva is not delusional. The Vimarsha Sakti is not delusional. That's real. That is the big difference between Advaita Vedanta and the Trika Darshana. Swasya Chaitanyasya Sambandhini Matra. So, as we were discussing yesterday, like water appears like water bubble. Water becomes water foam. Water becomes ice. Similarly, Swasya Chaitanyasya Sambandhini Matra Chidrasa Asyanataatmangshaha. Asyanata, the coagulation, consolidation, water becomes ice. That is one form. It's also H2O. You have two atoms of hydrogen, one atom of, you have oxygen. Together they have H2O, that molecule. Same molecule in water as well as in that ice. But the physical shape and form and dharma is very low temperature. Water, okay, 4 degree and above, it can persist till 100 degrees Celsius. Ice is sub-zero temperature all the time. So he's saying chid rasa asyanataatma angshaha tad rupam yatheshta vedya vedaka avabhasatmakam. Vedya and vedaka. There is a knower and there is something what is vedya. Shame, supreme consciousness. Now, as I was discussing yesterday, that in a very materialistic perspective, you would find that consciousness is a product of matter. Consciousness, the brain develops out of matter at a particular point of time through evolution, and through which we are talking about consciousness. It has no independence, it has no independent existence outside of the brain. That is what is consciousness. The moment you talk about consciousness, they talk about a brain. But in our scheme of things, even some of the Westerners are now slowly coming to recognize, and they also have this argument that no, consciousness is not dependent on brain. Consciousness is a reality. And that is, in fact, the most important. This is the substratum of the whole universe, that is for us. So, out of consciousness, out of that Sambit Shakti, everything is created. Yatheshta Vedya Vedaka Abhavasatmakam. Now, this knower and known, Jnata and Gya, this kind of a delusional duality is created, and that is what is the mother of creation. See, what is creation? Creation is nothing called a perception of duality. If you transcend it, everything will be there, but you are not affected by it. You will see Lord Shiva everywhere. Yatheshta means the moment, the way he wants, because he's Swatantra. He's not subservient to anything. There are no conditionalities which applies to Lord Shiva's creativity. Vedya Vedaga Abhavasatmakam Nirmanam Apadayati. That Nirmana, that creation, that he establishes, that kind of a person who has established himself in that rather, in that supreme consciousness. And how does he does this nirmana? Nirmitatvena darshayati. There is no real nirmana. It shows this whole world as if it has already been created. And how does he do it? This is Bhattakalatta, his commentary, the Britti, very brief is mentioning it. Now, first we'll go to the last commentary, which is a little detailed and takes everybody's commentaries, and then we will go to any particular individual commentaries like Varadaraja or Kshemaraja, whatever is relevant, we will take. Tasmat yoganishta purushaha anava upaya kramena. Tasmat, therefore, after this, yoganishta purushaha, the sadhana, he has nishta in yoga, yoganishta purushaha anava upaya kramena. He's first, see, he is now, we are starting in the third chapter. That is the last chapter. Anavapaya, because there is Bheda Buddhi. You are Anu, you are Jiva, you are limited, but you are doing sadhana. So you are ascending to that higher plane. Anava Upaya Kramena, Saktavala Prakashataha. Now you have Ishvara Abhedatmaka, Sakti Veda Vedatmaka, Nara Vedatmaka. Duality at our level. And then you have Saktopaya, Veda Veda, both. The identity indifference and only non-difference, that is Sambhavapaya. Saktavala Prakashataha Sambhavadam Apnuvan, he sort of attains the quality of Sambhu, that that Abhedatmaka consciousness, he attains it. Then So Satyantriya Saktya. Now you see the yogi, because he's established in the Shiva Tattva, he almost behaves as if he is able to do it, because he's no different from Lord Shiva now. The Pasu becomes Pasupati in his consciousness. How does that work? It's a beautiful way he's explaining. Swa Satyantriya Saktya Swa Matram Nirmatum Saknoti iti Darshayati. Swa Matram. It's like water can manifest as ice. Similarly, Lord Shiva can manifest as samsara. It's not different. Without being different, he creates this samsara. Saknoti ti darshati swamatra nirmanam apadayati. Now, there is some detailed explanation. Purvakta rupini swasya chaitanyasya sambandhini. What Chaitanya he has already explained earlier. Sambandhini matra. What is that matra? Matra is a measure of the self. What is that matra? He take a tiny part of himself and creates this samsara. How does that? How do you make sense of it? He's saying chid rasa asyanata. What is that? The chid rasa asyanata? Grahya grahyaka grahya grahyakatmaka parimita atmangsho varsate. See, there is a mitatma. What is there? Mitatma means parimita atma. Measured self. What is that? Is all individual consciousness with a certain adjective which defines us. The moment we are defined, we become limited. We become a man and a woman and a rich man and a poor man. There is some description. There is a upadhi. There is a certain contour which is given to your consciousness. It takes a certain shape, it takes a certain name, it takes certain form. So we become specific. We are not universal anymore. So he's saying this particular specificity he creates, the delusion, the appearance of specificity, that is what is creation. Mitatmangsho vartate tadatmakam swaichaya, with his own will, jatheshtam yatra jnana prakasha rupam. Jnatra and jnana prakasha rupam. So there is a jnata and there is a jnana and there is a jnana vastu. This subject-object dichotomy is created, and this is what is samsara. Nirmanam sampadayati. Yogina nirmitatvena darshanam kriyate. Yogina nirmitatvena. This particular yogi, yoga nishta purusha, through his yoga sakti, and he is able to, as if he is created it. What is he trying to show? Nothing is created. The creation story is just a storyline, but it appears as if it's created. There is where you see, let's imagine You are sleeping in your bedroom, right? And let's say it's a summer night. It's a summer night, so there is a lot of wind and stuff like that. And there is a dry branch of a tree which flies off that particular tree and hits against your window pane and falls. There is some noise. You are on your bed. That noise which is created, you imagine that there is somebody trying to intrude into your house, somebody trying to break into your house. He could be a burglar, he could be a thief, he could be an antisocial element, but somebody is trying to break into your house through the window. Okay. Then there is fear, then there is a response. The mother of this fear and response is what? You have already created a thief there. What is that? There is a dry branch of a tree, small dry branch of a tree. Because of wind, it flies off the trees and hits against your window pane. So this is how there is a particular person who is there, and then we are responding to it. Now come to our situation, this whole sansara. This sansara, as if it's created, and we have to respond to it. Unless we presume that as all of this is real, we will be free from it. We will not be affected by it. We will not be able to respond to it. We will not accept anything is real. That is what is nirmita tatvena darshanam kriyate tathasa uktam swachhand tantre. In swachhand tantra, in same thing, now I'll just go back to the Kshemaraja thing. Tadeva nadi sangharadi anavapaya krama asadita mohajaya unmajat स्वच्छ हाँ शुद्ध विद्यात्मक साक्तवल आसादन प्रकर्षात आत्मीकृत परामृत हृदात्मक sambhava pado yogi, because we did that in the verse number 16. He's saying all these kind of sadhanas he will do, nadi sanghara, he will do the pranayam and everything, and step by step all that we have discussed up till now. Okay, then he's reaching that Suddha Vidya. Remember, Suddha Vidya is the ultimate. Then you have, Maheshwara, Sadashiva, and then Shakti and Shiva ultimately. So he's saying Suddha Vidya Atmaka Shaktavala Asadana Prakarshat. He's established there. He's gone to a very high level of meditation, high level of that particular yoga. Atmikrata Paramrita Hrada. And then he's established in that Hrada, that ocean of consciousness, which is the cause of everything. That Hrada is what? That is the ocean. That is the causal universe from which everything happens. Sambhava Pada Yogi, who is already attained that Sambhava Bhava, that Bhairavapatti or Sambhavapatti, whatever you say, he's established that fellow, Swasya Chaitanyasya Sambandhini Matra, Chid Rasa Asyanataatma Angshah Tadrupam Yatheshta Vidya Vedaka Avabhasakatmakam Nirmanam Asadayati Nirmitatvena Darshayati Jatuktam Swachandra Tantra. So this much is commentary. The minor difference, more or less, the last commentary covers all of Kshemaraja. Now, what is that Swachandra Tantra? It is beautiful. He's saying, Tadeva Bhavati Sthulam Sthulopadhi Vasat Priye. Lord Shiva is telling, how do you see something which is having Sthula Bhava? The ice, it is having a physical, it's like a hard object, isn't it? He's saying Sthulopadi Vasat Priye. This is water only. However, it appears as if it has a physical, it has the form of a solid substance. It's liquid, but it appears as a solid object. Sthula Upadi Vasat Priye, Sthula Shukshma Vivedhena Tadekam Suvyavasthitam. Sthula Shukshma Vivedhena Tadekam. Tad Ekam Eva. That particular consciousness is neither Sthula nor Shukshma. It's beyond all this. It's beyond all the Upadhis. We have done that in Bhagavad Gita, and it's there in all the Vedantic texts. It's not Sthula, it's not Shukshma. You cannot touch it, you cannot hear, you cannot feel it. Why? Because This is beyond your sense perception. It is not an external object, it's not an internal object. Internal object, you can dream about it. You don't need to see it, but still you feel it. Sukha, dukkha, you feel pain. So there are these vishayas, object of knowledge, have been divided by the experts into different ways. One is bhutatmaka. What is bhutatmaka? Which has assumed a certain physical form. All the animals and birds and plants and everything, bhutatmaka. Then there is something called bhavatmaka. Bhavatmaka is all the physical objects, like is a computer, the laptop, books, everything, wall, have a certain, you can see them through your sense organs. Bhavatmaka. Bhutatmaka is a little different, which has a body. It has a body of its own, different parts. Bhutatmaka, there is something called Bhavatmaka. What is Bhavatmaka? You can know it, but you cannot see it through your external senses. You can do anumana, you can do inferential knowledge. How? You are feeling some pain. You know that. You are not happy. You know that. Can you touch that pain? Can you feel it, right? So you are able to feel the presence of something, but not through your external perceptual senses. Therefore, it's called bhavatmaka. It exists, but it's not bhutatmaka. It's a bhava vishaya. You see. So then finally, Bhava Rupa is Ghatapata, Bhavatmaka is Sukha Dukha, Bhutatmaka is all things which have a certain physical form, like plants and animals and humans and everything. Bhuta Varga, then Bhava Varga, Bhava Rupa, all the physical objects, right? And then you have Bhavatmaka, which are existent, but you can feel the presence thereof. There is something also Abhavatmaka. What is Abhavatmaka? Like, for example, somebody says Bandhya Putra, son of a pregnant woman, barren woman. If you have a bandhya and she has a son, she is no more a barren woman. And if she has a son, she's not barren, she's fertile. And so you cannot have both together. Khapuspa, if you say that lotus from the sky, there's a word called khapuspa. They don't exist, but you're using language to make sense of it. You imagine as if that exists, actually that doesn't exist. Okay, so that is called abhavaatmaka. You talk about things which physically don't exist, but you still are able to use language to make sense of it. All these abhavaatmaka, bhavatmaka, bhavarupa, and bhutatmaka, all four categories of objects of knowledge, these are based on the principle of duality and diversity, where there is a jnata and all these are jnaya varga. All this, Lord Shiva is telling Parvati, whatever you see, these are sopadhika. These are with upadhis. They are not real. Something is an animal, something is a bird, something is a plant, something is pain and pleasure, and something is like pot and sky and all those things, right? All these things are ultimately with certain upadhis, names and forms. Everything is not different from me. Ultimately, it's all me everywhere. Iti prativijnayam api, Ishvara prativijna. In that, there's a beautiful verse there. I'll just, give me 1 second. I'll just go to that prativijna karika. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So, he's saying this, it's a beautiful verse, and he's saying, give me 1 second. Yeah. Atmanam ata evayam geny kuryat pruthak sthiti. Atmanam atah evayam geny kuryat pruthak sthiti. Gyayam natu tad onmokhyat. Khandyeta asya swatantrata. So you see what he's saying, Sarva Sakti, Kartata Sakti, Aishwaryatma, सम आक्षिपति साच विमर्श रूपा इति उक्तम अस्या एव प्राधान्यम इति तात्पर्येण उत्तरम उक्तम शब्दार्थस्तु अयम शब्द and artha vaচ্যবাচক रूप. I am saying computer, then there is an object called computer. शब्दार्थस्तु अयम प्रकाशात्मा परमेश्वरः. वाच्यवाचक everywhere, it's only प्रकाशात्मा परमेश्वरः. स्व आत्मानं ज्ञातृ एक रूपत्वात्. You see, the jnana and a jnaya is not separate from jnata. Please understand this. In our scheme of things, in Trikadarshan and Advaita Vedanta, nothing is independent of that Jnata Swarupa, which is Parameshwara. Beyond, without him, nothing exists. Therefore, he's saying, Swatmanam Jnatreka Rupatvat Agyayam api Jnai Karoti. Agyaya, he cannot be an object of knowledge as a separate entity. Like I'm looking at this computer screen, I'm looking at these verses. These verses are different from me, I'm looking at it. But that way, I cannot know myself. And Lord Shiva cannot point a finger at himself and say, this is Lord Shiva. No. There will be Kartri Karma Bheda. That Virodha will be there. Jnatreka Rupatvad Agyem api Jnai Karoti iti tat Sambhavyate Karanantarasya Anupapattehe, because there is no other cause. He is the cause of everything. Darshitatvat, because it has been explained beautifully. Okay? Tataha prasanga viparjayat idam ayatam avytirikta unmukhaha swatantraha san. Avytirikta, this whole sansara, Lord Shiva is not different. Swatantraha san atmanam eva jnai karoti. Then he knows himself. He's displaying himself as the sansara. He is including this in the Gaya Varga, objects are not. Nacha Kevalang Niladi Rupam Eva Gayam. There is a blue color, red color, that only is not Gaya. Yavata Atyakta Kartutva Bhavam Swatantrena Aparitaktam Eva Santam Atmanam Nirmaya Vyavaharena Dhyana Upasana Archana Upadesadina Yojayati iti Yat Sambhavyate Tadapi Ata Eva iti Samandha. This is very beautiful. You see, you might actually turn around and ask me a very potent question. You will ask me, if all of us are Shiva, so we should do Upasana of whom? Whom do we do Upasana? Are we not Shiva? Are we not Brahman? Puja kiska kare? Upasana kiska kare? You see, that is the beauty of it. Lord of the universe is everything, and yet he creates these dualities for us to make sense of the mystery of his creation and then reach him. In the beginning, everything is Brahman. If we say, we are jumping the question mark. We are not understanding what is required in our sadhana marga. So the upasanas and meditations and japas and everything are very, very important, even though jnana, vichara is all good, but not through those, not with ignoring those steps. We cannot jump the queue and come and to the beginning of it and say that no, we have already reached the destination. Therefore, he's saying that this is the most important thing, and without it, you are not making any progress, you are not going anywhere. Okay, so that is what he's saying, that with his own inner strength and vitality, he creates this whole sansara. Now here, there are a couple of other things that we need to keep in mind, that with his own omniscient, omniscient, I mean, he is omniscient, he's omnipotent, with all these powers, as if he's a tiny fraction of his consciousness that he manifests as the physical universe. Okay, he'd manifest it. And this particular yogi who has reached there with lot of sadhana, with the Anavopaya, and having empowered himself, okay, having empowered himself and having reached there in that Shiva consciousness, he is able to create this external world. What does it mean? He starts treating at this objective world as nothing but at the outer manifestation or a projection of Lord Shiva. Nirmitatvena darshayati. That is what he's trying to mention. Then Agamepi, then he's saying, Jalam himam chayo veda guru bhaktra gamat priye. Lord Shiva is telling to Ma Parvati, do you know, Mahamai, Jalam himam chayo veda, the one who knows water and ice is one. Guru bhaktra gamat priye. Where does he learn it from? From the Acharya, the Saivacharyas, great Saivacharyas. He listens to them, Advaita Vedantists, and Agama Sastras. So he reads Sastras and listens to the Gurus, Saivacharyas. Priye nastyeva tasya kartavyam. I think it is written tasta, but I think it should be tasya, maybe printing error. Nastyeva tasya kartavyam. There is nothing that he needs to achieve. Why? He is already realizing that the appearance is not different from the causal aspect which enables its manifestation. What enables the manifestation of the samsara is that Shiva thing. He realizes it. Water and ice are one. The difference in appearance doesn't at all mean they are different. Once he realizes it, then he's saying, Tasya apashyama janmata. There is no repeat janma. Means no mrityu. If there is a birth, there will be death. There is no birth means there is no birth and there is no death. That means he is liberated from the cycle of birth and death. That means he is having entry into the moksha marga. Iti anena eva asayena uktam etadeva. Then he is again saying, Iti va yasya sambitihi kridatvena khilam jagata sapasyan satatan yukto jivana mukto na sansayah. Iti va yasya sambitihi kridatvena khilam jagata. He understands, the person who understands this is taken from the Spandakarikas. Itima, the verse number 30 actually, this is in the second chapter, the Ditya Nishpanda, he's saying, Yasma sarvo mayo jiva sarva bhava samudbhavat tas sambadena rupena tadatmya pratipattitaha tena sarvartha chintasu nasavasta na yah sivaha भोक्तैव भोग्यता भोग्य भावेन सदा सर्वत्र संस्थितः इति वा यस्य संवित्तिः क्रीडात्वेन अखिलम जगत सपश्यन् सततं युक्तो जीवन मुक्तो न संशयः. These are the three verses from Spandakarika. They're beautiful. I'm just trying to touch upon them. It becomes a little academic, but because we are recording it, anybody else wants to listen also, he can immediately have quick access to them. That's why I'm trying to sort of put them together. Sarvatmaka eva ayam atma. This atma is sarvatmaka. It's always there. Sarva anuvava utpatti dvarena. Because this atma is the root cause of all experiences we have. Anubhuyamanasya eva samvedanat vahyartham anubhuyamanam eva sariratvena grihnati. Whatever you see outside, there's a beautiful philosophical aspect to it. You see, Vishwam Sariram Sariram Vishwam, we have already discussed that earlier, right? He looks at this whole world or the universe as part of his body because he's having that Sarvatma Bhava. And then he's saying, Sariram Vishwam, Vishwam Sariram. Sariram Vishwam, everything he sees himself. And sometimes he says, Sariram Drishyam, Drishyam Sariram. Both the things. Earlier we have done it. Sariram Drishyam, Drishyam Sariram. Sariram Drishyam. Drishyam Sariram. Whatever is Drishya, this whole Sansara is Drishya Varga. And that is part of my body when he is in deep meditation. And then when he ascends to a higher plane, what about this particular yogi who is meditating? He is also looking at his own body and he says this is also part of this whole world because he is above this body-mind complex. Sariram, Drishyam, Drishyam, Sariram. That we have discussed earlier. So that is what he is saying. Sariratvena grihnati. This whole creation is part of me. Why? He is identifying with Lord Shiva. Natu Shirapanyadi Lakshitam Ekamevasya Sariram. Then if you have this body, this physical body that I am so many feet and so many inches, this is my weight, this is me. No. Because you are already having that Vishwatma Bhava. Tena Sabdartha Chintasu Na Sa Vasta Na Yah Sivaha. Savdartha chintasu vachya whatever you see, there is no avastha, there is no existence which is not Shiva Rupa, because everything is it's a metamorphosis, it is a manifestation, it's a projection of that Shiva consciousness. Bhokta eva bhogya rupena. Who is Bhokta? Lord Shiva. He is watching everything. He is Drik Chaitanya. And he appears as Drishya. Bhokta, Bhogya is what? Whatever you see, Drishya is Bhogya. The Drik Chaitanya is appearing as Drishya Chaitanya. You see, Bhokta eva Bhogya Bhavena Sada Sarvatra Samstitaha Tena Tatha Videna Sarvatmakena Swabhavena Savdarthayoho Chintasu Na Sa Avastha Ya Siva Bhabam Na Vyanjayati. There is no avastha which is not re-establishing that ultimate substratum of Shiva consciousness pervading everything. Ata bhokta evahi bhogya bhavena sarvatra avastitaha. That Drik Chaitanya itself is becoming Drishya, this whole sansara. न तो अन्यत भोग्यम अस्ति, शिव जी से छोड़ के कोई संसार नहीं है, शिव जी ही संसार रूप में प्रतिभात होते हैं. इतिवा यस्य संबिति ही, ऐसे जिसका दिमाग हो गया, the person who is able to understand this, क्रीडात्वेन अखिलम जगत, this is the game of Lord Shiva, क्रीडात्वेन sapashyan satatam yukta, that particular thing, once he sees this truth, जीवन मुक्तो न संशयः, he is verily liberated. एवं स्वभावम यस्य चित्तम, that particular consciousness was attained this manamayam eva jagat sarvamiti. Manamayam is matmayam. This is verily me, everything you see is you only. Manamayam eva jagat sarvamiti sa sarva kridatvena pashyan. He sees everything as a game. Nitya yuktatvat. He is all the time established in that Shiva consciousness. Jivana eva ishwaravat. Even though he is having a physical body, Ishwaravat, as if he is Lord Shiva, Muktaha, he is liberated. Natu asya sariradi bandhakatvena vartate. This physical body he may have, for us, he has a physical body, but he is in Shiva Bhava. And therefore, these physical aspects and definitions that we attribute to him, they do not become limitations on him. This is how it's beautifully mentioned. Now we'll go to the next verse. What is the next verse? Okay, there is a couple of lines I need to read, so let me finish it in the last commentary. Yato hi jnana prakasatma paramashivo nirantaram swa swatantra saktya asukshma abhasa rupena prasphurati. This paramashiva asukshma abhasa rupena, he's subtlest of the subtle, and yet he is appearing as if this stula sansara evam cha sa eva vichitra vedaspurtya upadhiyate. All these diversities, these are all sopadhika, with names and forms. Vyapaka vastu vyapya rupene prakasate. You see, vyapya vapaka bhava. So, akasa is vyapaka, ghatakasa, space inside this pencil. This pencil space, and this is space. Wherever there is pencil space, there will be space. So, this vyapaka is appearing as vyapya. This akasha tattva is appearing as kalama akasha. Similarly, Parama Shiva is appearing as a Jiva, as Ghata, as Pata, as Akasa, as Jala. All that we see is Parama Shiva. Vyapya and Vyapaka. Vyapaka is all pervading. That is appearing, having certain limited incidents. Vyapya rupena prakaseta tasmad vyapya vastu vyapaka vyatiriktam naiva bhavitum arhati. Whatever is pervaded, that vyapya vastu, like ghatakasa, patakasa, it cannot exist without the vyapaka. The kalamakasha, the space within the pen, cannot exist without space proper. Similarly, we cannot exist without that Shiva Tattva proper. That is what he's saying. Ata eva sa upadhihi. These are names and forms. Chidrupa eva bhavati. All names and forms. Animals, humans, birds, all that, whatever names and forms you are using, everything is ultimately Paramashiva. Tasmat sa tattva vastu na atiriktam asti. There is nothing which exists which is separate from, different from, at a distance from that Shiva Shakti, that particular Paramatatva. And therefore, then there is a lot of these. Atanam ata evayam geyam kuryat prathak sthiti geyam tu Gyem natu tad unmukshat khandiyeta asya swatantraya. We have already done it. Ayam swayam prakasatma yogi swatmanam gyatru surupatvat. This particular yogi who is having Siva Tattva Bhav already, Gyatri Swarupatvat Agyam api Gyam Karvoti Pruthaktaya. As if it's separate. Gyam Sapakhyatve Pruthak Prakasada Vahirbhuta Stitihi Gyam Vastunah Naiva Bhavati. Because they are appearing outside, they don't become independent because they are no different from that particular Gyata. Pruthaktaya Jnana sapaktvame jnatritvam hiyate. If you see they have any independent existence, then Paramashiva, who is the Drik Chaitanya, who is actually manifesting everything, he will lose his swatantriya. Tasmat prathak prakashat bhirvata stitihi jnana vastunha naiva bhavitum arati. Evam chala jala himoyor iva, like water and ice, as if they are same thing. Shiva tat sakti rupa jagataha. Shiva and its own energy manifesting as Jagat, Chidrasa tad Asyanata Samvedanat. Chidrasa, that water, and Asyanata, that solidified form, which is ice, Samvedanat. Parasaktavala Praftavatam Yoginam, the person who has got that Parasakti, he has attained that Punarjanama Nasti, he shall not be reborn again. Satu Jivana Mukta Dasayam Biharati, he moves around as a liberated, having the same body, Jajuktam Spandakarikayam, already we read it, Itivajasya Sambittihi, Kridatpena Kilamajagat, Sapasyan Satatam Yukto Jivana Mukto Nasangsayah. Ityeva mukta prakarana yasya yoginah sambitihi jnanamasti. The particular yogi whose consciousness is established there, so saha akhilam jagata krida aramataya vibhavayan. He is saying it's all a game. Nitya yuktatvad. He is all the time established in his samadhi. Cha bandha hetuho ajnanasya vinasat. What is the cause of our bondage? Is ajnana, misunderstanding of who we are. The moment we have recognition of that truth, we are liberated. So he's saying, Vinasad Jivan Eva Bimuktaha Bhavati Na Atra Sansayaha. There is no particular doubt. Now, you look at the verse number 18. Vidya Vinase Janma Vinasaha. Now, there are two commentators who are making interpretation of it two different ways. Vidya Vinase or Vidya Avinase. Chaitanyam Atma Jnanam Bandhaha. You remember the first two sutras of Siva Sutra. Chaitanyam Atma Jnanam Bandhaha. Jnanam is Aparipakva Jnanam Bandhaha. Ayathartha Jnanam Bandha. That is one interpretation. The other one is Chaitanyam Atma Ajnanam Bandha. If you make it one sutra, Chaitanyam Atma Jnanam Bandha, वहाँ पे संधि हो गया है. So we can say Ajnanam Bandha. Why am I reminding ourselves of this? Here also, Kshemaraja reads this sutra as Vidya Avinase Janma Vinasaha. That what was explained earlier, he is explaining the same thing. Vidya Avinase. Now he's saying Vidya Yaha, because Bhatta Kalada also writes the same thing. Vidya Yaha Avinase Satata Unamaganataya Spurane. All the time, if it persists, because Bijavadhanam, constantly you are doing the sadhana. Janmanaha Agyana Sahakari Karma Hetu Kasya. Janma ka, what is Janma? He's explaining. Janma means Janma and Marana, both. Janma and Mrityu, both birth and death. How do they happen? Agyana Sahakari Karma Hetu Kasya. You first have Agyanata. Then because of Agyana, you have Subha Suha Vasana, you do Papa Punya Karma. As a result of which you have karma, and karma, from there you have karma bandha. Then you generate prarabdha. Then you will have birth and death. Agyana Sahakari Karma Hetukasya Dukkhamayasya. And Janma Marana is what? Is it very pleasurable? No, it gives you a mirage of a lot of happiness, and it is always Dukkha Mishrita. So Dukkhamayasya, Dukkha includes some experience of Sukha also, because there is no Sukha where there is no Dukkha. Deha Indriyadi Samudayasya, that particular body, Deha and Indriyadi Samudaya, Stula Shukshma Sarira, Nasa Vidvangsaha Samparna Eva. That means this Shukshma Sarira, Stula Sarira come to an end. Why? we will be liberated. That is what he is saying. Vidya avinase janma vinasaha. That is Kshemaraja Bhatta Kallada, guru of Kshemaraja. Nacha evam. Now let me quickly look at the. We have time to finish it. So let me look at the last commentary. Then I'll come to Kshemaraja. Purvokta parasakta bala sampannasya vidyarupa yoginah Vishwarupa Yogin. So, a person who identifies with this whole sansara of this yogi, na janmadi bandha kaschid ityaha. This janmadi bandha doesn't happen. And how does it? When it happens? Kaschid ityaha. He will never ever have again any birth, any rebirth, any death. Vidya vinase janma vinasha. Vidya sahaja tasya avinasha. What is that? Sahaja vidya. He's already established in Shuddha Vidya, that word we have already done. So he has gone to a very high level of Yathartha Jnana. Vidya Sahaja, Sahaja Vidya, Sahaja Cha Aso Vidya, Sahaja Vidya, Vidya Tasya Vinasa, Avinasaha. That means there is no termination, no disturbance. Satata Unumagnadeya. All the time you are perennially at it and you are established there and you are persisting. You are not leaving it. You have not conquered everything. You are there. So he's saying there's still a little work to be done. Satata numagnataya taya udite sati janmanaha janana marana rupa sangsritehe. Sangsriti means sangsriti sansaranam. That is sansara, birth and death. Agyana sahakari kriya nimittakasya. That particular, what is the nimitta karana, what is the efficient cause of birth and death? Agyana. And then tadjanya kriya, all kinds of activities you do. You have agyana. Then tatkarya. What is the karya of agyana? I want to do this, I want to do that. This is wrong, that is right. These are the products of agyana in us. With our prarabdha, we will have different products. Same agyana, you can have different products. With same agyana, somebody becomes a dancer, somebody becomes a politician, somebody becomes a poet, somebody becomes a mercenary, somebody goes to fight, somebody becomes a scamster. Same avidya, different products because we have our own sanskaras. So agyana sahakari kriya nimittaka rupa nimittakasya dukkhamayasya deha indriyadi samuyasya, that sarirasya vinasho vidhvangsho bhavati asya yoginaha. Tasakto mrutyujit api. That there is a particular text in which he is saying tattvatrayam binir, but I will try to touch it from the Kshemaraja thing because that is much more comprehensive. Will not touch here. He's saying Vidya Vinase Janma Vinasaha Nacha Evam Swasakti Nirmita Bhuta Bhava Sarira Vatu Asya Bhuta Bhava Sariro Asya Janmadi Vandha Kasi Dityaha. He will not again be born with this physical being. प्रोक्तायाः सहज विद्यायाः अविनाशे सततो उन्मग्नतया स्फुरणे जन्मनः अज्ञान सहकारी कर्म हेतुकस्य दुःखमयस्य देह इंद्रियादि समुदायस्य नाशो विध्वंसः संपन्न एव यजुक्तम श्रीकंठ्याम. श्रीकंठी शास्त्र में क्या कहते हैं? दैट ही सेइंग सप्रपंचम परित्यज्य ह्योपादाय लक्षणम. सप्रपंचम, प्रपंच के साथ, परित्यज्य, यू रिनाउंस इट. व्हाट? ह्योपादाय लक्षणम. Whatever is sansara, something is here, something we don't like a couple of things. Now this is winter time. Do you want to have a cold drink? No, not interested. You want to have a warm, hot coffee. Similar, heyo upadaya. Upadaya is what you want. Warm clothes now. Would you like to take a dip in Ganges right now? No. When summer comes, yes. Hyopadaya lakshanam trinadikam tatha panna pasanam sacharacharam. Trinadikam, he's categorizing, looking at the whole range of objects that appear in the samsara, with life, without life. Trinadikam, the plant universe. Tatha parnam, the leaves of the pasanam, rocks. Sacharacharam, chara and achara. Moving and living and non-living, moving and non-moving. Sivadi, Sivadya Vaniparyantam, Sivadi Avaniparyantam, Shiva Tattva. All 36 tattvas covered here. Shivadi Avani Paryantam. Avani is Prithvi. Starting with Shiva Tattva till Prithvi Tattva, all 36 tattvas. Avani Paryantam. Bhava Bhavo Upa Brinhitam. Bhava and Abhava. I have already explained to you Bhava Rupa and Abhava Rupa. Something which appears as existing and non-existing, something which is visible, something which is invisible, all of it. Sarvam Sivamayam Dhyatva. He is meditating. Whatever I see, whatever I think about, whatever I see, and whatever I don't see. Everything is Shivamayam Dhyatva, by meditating, understanding. Bhuya Janma na papnuyat. He shall never be reborn again. Iti Swachanda Tantre, he's saying. Swanirvanam Paramasuddham Guru Paramparagatam. Swanirvanam Mukshadvaram. He will be liberated. How does he get Param Suddham, that ultimate thing? How does he get this moksha? He's saying Guru Paramparagatam. By reading one or two books, no. Because you have these Saiva Acharyas, like you have the Vedanta Acharyas, and they have commented on these texts, the Agamas, by reading. So, one particular thing I would like to mention, that in our tradition, inventionism is not given importance. You have a lot of these upstarts. You know that they have these startups. What is the opposite of a startup? Is an upstart, which is a startup without any future and without any past, without any sanskara. It's an upstart. So you have a lot of these gurus and a lot of these so-called, they declare themselves as gurus and they start leading. But we have a tradition in which we give a lot of importance to the inheritance of the goodness and the wisdom of the sages through ages. Even this Abhinavagupta, or you look at any of them, they will trace their origin back to the great acharyas of the Vedanta and many other earlier texts. Even though the tradition took a certain shape, the Trika Darshana, everything goes back to the original tradition of wisdom. Like, for example, a lot of research has been done, and they say that even Bhagavad Gita, there was a text with some 100 slokas which predated Mahabharata. Much before Mahabharata, these texts were there. So, this is timeless wisdom. That is the parampara. You are only re-articulating, reconstructing, rephrasing that wisdom, making it tuned to addressing issues of your times. And that is the beauty of it. So that is how it sort of revitalizes humanity's consciousness by answering its queries and doubts from time to time in different historical contexts. He's saying Sarva Sivamayam Dhatva Bhuyo Janma Na Papniyat Swo Nirbanam Param Suddham Guru Parampara Gatam Tad Viditva Vimuchyeta. Then he's getting that liberation, Vimuchyeta Gatva Bhuyo Najayate. Once he goes, Tadhamam Paramam Mama. So he doesn't come back. He's saying. And then finally saying, Iti Mrityujityapi Tattvatraya Vinirmuktam. What is that Tattvatraya? I would like to explain. There are these three tattvas. One is Nara Tattva, and there is Sakti Tattva, and there is Shiva Tattva. What is Nara Tattva? Vedatmaka. And what is Sakti Tattva? Vedatmaka. And what is that Shiva Tattva? Abhedatmaka. Non-difference, identity in difference, and complete difference. So these are aspects of realities. Tattvatraya Vinirmuktam Saswatam Swachalam Dhrubam. He ascends to that plane. Because they are again Sopadika. You're saying this is Shiva aspect, this is Sakti aspect, this is Nara aspect. No. These are gradations imaginary. Everything is Shiva Maya. So what do you mean by this is Abhedatmaka, this is Vedatmaka, and this is Bhedatmaka? These are all Sopadika with some name and form, with certain adjectives you are using. Therefore, he goes to that ultimate, and then he mentions So Nirbanam Param Suddham Guru, Tattvatraya Vinirmuktam Saswatam Shvachalam Dhrubam Dibyena Yoga Margena. Dibyena Yoga Margena. That Dibya Yoga, some commentators have beautifully explained. I think if you look at the book which I had shared with you of Jaydev Singh, he has also interpreted it there. Dibya Yoga here means Abhikalapa Vimarshena. Not through Vikalpa Vimarsha, but Abhikalpa Vimarsha. You have to have that full one-pointedness in this whole meditation on that Shiva Tattva. Dibyena Yoga Margena Drishtva Bhuyo Najayate. Because it's a non-dualist. No different from Advaita Vedanta, except that here it's Swatantravada, not Vivartavada. That is the minor difference. Bhuya Najayate. However, when Varadaraja has a different interpretation, and I have 2-3 minutes, I'll just touch upon that. He says, Vidya Vinase Janma Vinasaha. Vidya, you see, already you have done Vidya Sanghare. You will again see the Swapnavat, the whole Sansara, you will get caught up in the Saktopaya. I've done it, last verse. Here she is saying Vidya Sanghara that we have done. Vidya again here is proper thing here. Vidya Vinase, how do you interpret? If you don't say Avinase, he has his own interpretation. He's saying Tad Vinasat Punarjanma na bhave tatra cha avadat sopadhika vedaniya padartha vishaya eva ya. Sopadhika vedaniya padartha vishaya eva ya vidya. That knowledge which is still stuck with dualities, sopadhika vishayas. This is man, this is woman, this is Shiva, this is Shakti. I'm a sadhaka, I'm doing upasana. That kind of vidya, same as jnanam bandha, aparipakva jnanam, ayarthartha jnanam. So here vidya is kind of clouded by maya. The vidya is some malatmika vidya. It's not amala vidya. It's not para vidya. It is an intermediate stage. So you have to destroy it. So this consciousness of dualism has to go. He is interpreting it that way. Vedanya padartha vishaya eva ya vidya asuddha sasmrita vidya punaha sambhava karanam. That asuddha vidya is janma marana karanam. Therefore, syat tad vinasaha sahaja vidyadvaya nibhalanam. When that asuddha vidya is destroyed, suddha vidya starts. All kinds of intermediate levels of engagement in sansar we abandon, then we turn to God. Satitena swatantra tva vyaktihi syad atmanah para ataeva punarjanma na bhavet. Why? Swavala asrayat. Because he is now established in there. Jivana muktihi yam siddhihi akala padadaini. Akala padadaini. He is beyond that frame of time and space. This is how we have completed the verse number 18. And then when we meet again, we'll try. We have another 25 sutras, about 25. And then I think we can speed up a little. And then we'll be able to sort of wind it up in maybe next 2 months. So any questions, or we'll do the Santi mantras? Any doubts, any questions? Okay, so we'll do the Santi mantras. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Tat Sat. God bless all of you. See you on Thursday.
Pranam Swamiji.